Cinder's career is over. It is one of the things that a lot of people didn't really see coming, especially with the fact that how close she was with people like Bao, with Vienna, with Matara, with all of the bigger VTubers in the Twitch community. And that's one of the things I wanted to talk about. And it's really interesting to think about because this is not a one-time problem. VTubing has had this issue for a long time. It is something that came from the very beginning of VTubing. Some of the main issues with it is that a lot of it comes from the past. A lot of it is past situations that have already blown over. Things like this don't really happen as much anymore in the VTubing community as we have to deal with more graduations and shit than we do anything else at the moment. That being said, this is not something that should be swept under the rug, and I'm really proud of Nano coming out to begin with about this because as a creator for VTubers, you don't really think you have a voice because you're nothing more than the person that made the VTuber to some people. And that's probably the worst thing about it because a lot of them are treated without that type of respect. And the fact that a lot of people came to Nano's aid to not only let out their own documents, and it was really good to see the reprimands of Cinder throughout the whole wave till her response. Because as much as I wanted to critique her on this situation, I couldn't really do that until I read her document, and I am thoroughly disappointed with it, as much as anybody else would be, because she fails to take any accountability and blames it mostly all on her boyfriend Redacted. I don't think any of this was done with any real intent, and it was mostly only done to really save face, because this all just kind of felt shoehorned in, as none of it genuinely seemed real, as it more feels like a PR move to kind of save face with the creators that she can continue to make business with and take advantage of. That's possibly the worst thing about this, because all of what Cinder has done is something that not only affects the VTubing community, but her personal community. The Pyropups. I think it's really sad that a lot of the Pyropups are kind of left without a proper idol, because one of the major things about Cinder is she was kind of GFE, but also not far enough to where it was too much of a problem, it seemed, as well as providing lewd tuber content, but I don't think that's too much of an issue when it's catered to them specifically. Nevertheless, I think it's kind of crazy that Cinder did all of these things with that content behind her, backing her up. The worst part about that is that probably the moment they found out that her manager was her boyfriend, they all lambasted her and could have just easily said the same thing that they did with everyone else that's had these types of revelations done in the past. I love how she speaks about it, saying that it's complete transparency, but I feel like the reason she even put that there was just kind of to further affirm the fact that, yeah, like, it's not her fault. And I think that's so ridiculous because it clearly is. There is so many things that Cinder has done, from shit talking Bao to celebrating the cancellation of Silver and Bao's VTuber models being cancelled by Nano. And possibly the worst thing about it is the amount of people left empty after this whole ordeal. The people in this community, the people in the Twitch VTubing community, because I do not want to consider this VTubing as a whole, as this is a Twitch VTuber problem. The thing about Twitch is that it promotes its very competitive format, which makes it to where most content creators are supposed to outdo themselves or outdo the other or provide something for the platform that no one else does. Now, of course, many a Twitch streamer have done this themselves with also following trends, and that's the thing about Twitch is that because it's such a competitive and shifting environment, it's really hard to keep afloat. So seeing VTubers in such high positions is really great. Seeing how quickly Cinder grew was amazing. Problem with all of that came from the fact that Cinder took advantage of all of her influence to not only try and manipulate Nano into making exclusive deals, but also pretending she knew nothing of it when she again celebrated Silvervale and Bow the Whale's model cancellation. I think one of the craziest things about this whole thing to me that she not only admits to having cheated on her boyfriend, but it seems like also just she's getting completely torn apart by the people she has apologized to. In the document that Cinder posted, Regarding the exclusive deal between them, I had no part in the direct negotiations of the eventual agreement, and I had no knowledge of Bao or Cotton being included in this list. If I had known my friends were included, I would have said something to put a stop to it. I was only aware of it being one person who I was unfairly pursuing. When Nano had messaged about the agreement almost a month later, I was under the assumption this was only about Silvervale. I was upset, and my initial message to her were very guilt trippy, but I wasn't going to force Nano to do anything she wasn't okay with, and tried reassuring her that I'm okay with the decision. Nano had never come to me seriously or professionally, as her document was looking to address the issues she had with either of us, or to terminate our partnership. I had no idea. This is where it gets good, by the way. This is my favorite part. I had no idea there was even a conversation about Shy Lily recently between Red and Nano until reading her document. It's true, I had confided in Red that lately I hadn't been hearing from Lily like I had in the past, and was worried something was wrong, but that's as far as it went. He took it upon himself to try digging for more info, and I was never made aware Nano was even planning to work on a model for another friend of mine, Geary. That being said, I'm very sad and very scared for what's coming for Gamer Subs. I feel like after Cinder took over the whole mantle of partial owner, it felt very, very like business oriented, and it stopped kind of feeling like something for VTubers and more something for business. And that made me really sad because the thing that Cinder reminded me of is that there's still evil in the VTubing world, and that evil will do everything to take away this medium and make it into a business. I do not want this medium to become a business. I do not want people to, again, use this medium solely for money, because that was the very start of what VTubing was. And it's a disappointment to me that such an amazing medium is being taken advantage of by such evil people. VTubing is not a business, it is an experience. I can only hope many share that same sentiment. I wish you all a very nice evening and a lovely farewell.